Hi everyone, Samuel here, welcome back to another video, and these prints are going to be shipped out to this fisherman here as a little thank you gift for letting me photograph him. And oh my, these prints are so pretty, they're so sharp, it's so crisp, and this is Hanemühle paper and I've been using them for a while, but they always blow me away, and man. And I thought it would be a cool idea to show you the final results before we dive into my editing process. And that is what this video is all about. I want to show you how I edit my black and white photographs. And the main software I use is a plugin for Lightroom called Silver Efex. Silver Efex is part of a collection of plugins called the Nick collection. And what's really cool about the Nick collection is that you can still download the 2012 version and use it for free. I will put a link in this video description where you can find it. And I'm not affiliated with them. I actually paid for the current version, which cost me like 150 euros. And it has a few more features, but the free version has everything you need. And this video is not going to be a tutorial on Silver Efex, but there's actually a full class on Silver Efex on Skillshare, which is the sponsor of this video, but more on that later. I'm also very excited to announce that I'm working on a photobook about my 1 year black and white experience, which is also going to be a visual diary of 2020. And I'm currently waiting for my test copy to arrive, so I'm already at the final stages. And I created a little landing page on my website where you can find more information. And I also created an email list where you can sign up to get notified when the book is out. And I already have like 300 people on that list, so yeah. And you know what, let's do a little print giveaway, because I made one more print for myself, this one here, which looks really nice on this paper. So I'm going to give this one away. Stick around until the end of this video to find out how to win this print. Alright, so let me show you how I created these files in Lightroom and Silver Efex.
Okay, so here's the first photo I'm going to edit, and don't ask me what's going on here. Let's just say it's another crazy day from 2020. So what I'm looking for in my black and white files is a wide range of tones. I want deep blacks and bright highlights and anything in between as well. And what I usually do is when I photograph with black and white in mind, maybe I used a little black and white filter on my camera already and I don't want to see my raw files in color. I apply a little correction preset I created. It applies a lens profile and it adds a little bit of dynamic range. So overall I'm already happy with the exposure. I might go down with the shadows a little bit. And I usually play with the tone curve and add a little bit of a S curve. So I'm going to leave it here, and what I want to do here is, because I have all these great expressions, is to highlight these faces, make them stronger, add a little bit of clarity maybe. But I don't want to apply clarity to everything in the frame, because it does, see, it just looks, I mean, some people really like that, but for me, it's too much. So I'm going to use the adjustment brush, and we're going to paint in clarity. And I'm also going to brighten up the faces a little bit. Let's go and change the exposure a little bit. Whites is already raised here. And then a little bit of clarity. So I'm going to start painting over these guys' faces. I think it's okay. It's not too crazy. And this is usually what I would do over and over again until I'm happy. But using the brush in Lightroom is not ideal because it affects everything that's in the radius of the brush. And that makes it really hard sometimes to make it not look edited. I don't want people to say, oh, you painted these faces brighter or something like that. So I used to be okay with just Lightroom, and this is probably something I would post happily on my website, and it would be fine. It is fine, but I know it can be better, and this is where Silver Efex comes into play. So Now, before I open up this image in Silver Efex, I have to reset everything I did, bring back the color, because I need the color information inside Silver Efex so that I'm able to change the color channels. And you can't do that when you bring in a black and white photo. And I'm ready to open Silver Efex now. Okay, we are in Silver Efex and you can see my photo automatically was converted into black and white. And I usually start by selecting one of the awesome film emulations. And these are really nice because they emulate the tones and the grain of all these film stocks. And you have HP5, Tri-X, T-Max. So for this one, I think I will use HP5 as my starting point. Now there's a lot of grain applied to my image now, and it's a little bit too much for my taste. So I'm going to make the grain smaller because I don't want to lose anything of the sharpness. I just want to have a slightly grainy image. And then it is very bright. Maybe I will adjust the tone curve a little bit. Okay, and then I will go up and change maybe the dynamic brightness. Dynamic brightness is great because it does only affect the midtones. And as you can see, it never crushes the blacks or the highlights. And then what I almost always use are color filters. So what you can do here is you can select, a yellow filter, green filter, blue filter, whatever you like. What you typically see is skin tones get brighter when you use a yellow filter or orange. But when I use HP5, skin tones are usually very bright already. So I find when I use HP5, the emulation, I tend to use the green filter a lot. The next feature I use, I think this is the selling point of Silver Efex, are these control points here under selective adjustments. So these are like little points you can put onto anything you want, like let's say this guy's face. Let's zoom in a little. And these control points, they have this radius and you can change that. And then what I usually do is add a little bit of structure. You see how it enhances all the wrinkles in the face. And then sometimes I use contrast as well, but I don't think it's needed here. I also use amplify whites if I want to brighten a face. And that already did so much. Just look at this guy's face. When I turn it on and off, it's such a huge difference. And what's nice about these control points is they affect just the area that you want to affect. Even if I select a wider radius, and then let's go really crazy and underexpose his face, like almost to black. See how it only affects his face? And you can also highlight your control points by clicking on this box here on the right. And then you can really see what your control point is actually controlling, and it automatically detects what is important, like what to change. Like here it's just a shirt. So you could change just the shirt if you wanted to. And this is so nice. Like you can't do this on Lightroom. And before I start over and do another control point and another one, you can actually hold the Alt key and then just copy the control point. Now I duplicated all my control points, and if I unselect them all, you see how their faces are affected by the control points, and this just adds so much more drama to it in this particular frame. It also helps me a lot to switch the background color, like you have black, white and gray here. For example, I like to use the white background a lot because it shows me my brightest spots in my photos compared to real white. And one way to find out if I have all the tones from black to white is to go down here to the loop and histogram, and it shows you these 10 zones. And this is actually what Ansel Adams was famous for, the zone system. Basically, the zone system is used to ensure that you have all the tones in a black and white photo, from black to white and everything in between. It just feels very rich if you have all these tones in your photograph. So what you can do here is you can hover over these numbers. For example, black here is 0. And then you see these yellow stripes, and it shows me the parts that are completely black. And to me, this is okay. If it wouldn't show me anything here, I would probably go down with the blacks a little bit. And then I can go up here and I see all these tones in my photograph. And then let's see if we can also find pure white. And yes, we see that. Let me zoom in. This is where the highlights are actually blown out, which is totally fine for me. So I think I'm done. And for the very last step, I always go back to grain. So I will show you how it looks without grain. This is without any grain. So this is now very heavy grain, and I think this is too much. So I will go back a little bit. Yeah, I think I will leave it here, 397. That looks good. And here's my final image coming fresh out of Silver Efex. So this is what we first did, and this is what we created in Silver Efex. I think this one brings out the textures much nicer, and maybe I went a little bit too hard here, but I think compared to the previous one, this is much stronger. Okay, so I have one more photograph I want to edit for you guys, but before we move on, I want to take a moment to give a shout out to today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes ranging from photography, filmmaking, graphic design, marketing, business, and much more. Let me tell you how I used Skillshare in the past weeks. So I told you that I'm working on a photobook, right? And the last time I made a photobook was, I think, 10 years ago. So I needed to refresh my memory when it comes to working in InDesign. And I found a few classes that taught the basics of InDesign. But there was also this one class from Daniel Scott called Adobe InDesign CC Advanced Training. And it is a very comprehensive class with over 72 lessons. But the most useful lesson for me was actually learning about the keyboard shortcuts. Covering all the shortcuts was great because it enables me to speed up my workflow. And then I needed some inspiration how to design the cover of my photo book. And there were actually a few classes about that on Skillshare as well. What's also great about Skillshare is that there are no ads, so you can focus on just learning and not get distracted by other videos like you often do on YouTube. Hopefully this one is not one of them. And if you want to check it out, you can do so for free by using my link in the video description. That gives you a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership, but it's only active for the first 1000 who click on that link, so be fast. Alright, let's go back to editing.
The next morning.
Alright, so it's the next day, I just got up and let's do another one. So this was the one we did yesterday. And let's do this one here, because this looks very dramatic once you convert it to black and white, and it looks quite flat right now, so I'm going to raise the exposure. Okay, let's open Silver Efex. So I think I'm going to start from scratch again just to show you my steps, but just out of curiosity, let's just apply a random preset here on the left. This is my Delta 3200 preset. And already adds so much more drama. And I think this is something I want to go for. Just add in more clarity and bring up some of the shadows on the wall and make the sky a little bit more dramatic by lowering the exposure. Okay, as always, I will go down and select a film stock. I don't always use the same film stock, but most of the time I'm using HP5. Delta 400 looks kind of cool. This is close to what I envisioned. So let's select that. And I will raise the midtone slightly again. And I'm going to work on the sky later, but I'm only concentrating on the bottom half of the frame here. And I think in this case, dynamic brightness will make a big difference. Yeah, this already brings a lot of the drama back in the sky. I think I will amplify the whites as well, just a little bit. Maybe amplify the blacks. This should work with the sky. Oh yeah, this already looks final. And then let's choose a color filter. I think the red filter would probably work here. Okay, this is a little bit too much, but it's kind of cool. Yeah, this looks good. Okay, let's select a control point, and I will start with the sky because this is the part that needs most work. Let's lower the brightness and maybe add some structure. And now I need to find the best place for this control point. And I think I want this bird to be highlighted, so I don't want to work on these bright spots around the bird. So maybe somewhere here is good. And then I think I need a control point here, where the shadows of the tree. This is very cool here, the shadows. And I think all I need to do here is just raise the structure. Maybe amplify the whites a little bit too. Maybe a little bit of contrast. So as you can see, a lot of my process is just, you know, trial and error, but I usually know what I want to do. So this is where we started and this is what we did. And yeah, this definitely works. And I'm going to duplicate this control point and put it right here. And then I want one for the sign, but it needs to be a little smaller. And I want the sign to be bright. So I'm going to amplify the whites, go down with brightness a little bit, maybe adding more contrast. Let me see a before and after. So this is before and this is after. I could add another control point on the trees and just add structure to make them appear a little sharper. But I don't think I need that. Or maybe I should raise the control point where the birds are. Oh yeah, it makes more sense to put them here where the birds are sitting. So I'm going to leave this one here. And I think I want more control points where the street is. Make that a little brighter. Add in some structure again. Yeah, I think this is basically it. Now, I think I did a little bit too much. So what I can do now is go back to my basic global adjustments here. And I think by lowering the whites, I can achieve a more natural, realistic look. This looks a little better, but I'm going to add a little bit back in. Just a little bit. Okay. Okay, so this is final. I'm not going to touch anything except grain, because this is always my last step. And I'm going to eliminate grain here just for a second. It still looks a little grainy, but this is because I shot this at a high ISO value. So I'm going to add in a little bit more and override that digital noise. Yeah, this looks good. Okay, boom. So this is done now. I don't need to do anything else. And I can already see that I have a wide range of tones here, but just to be sure, let's go down here to loop and histogram. Do a quick check. So this is everything that is completely black, which is good. This is perfect. And then let's go down to full white. And everything that's white are just the lights. And here's our final image. I think it looks very good. It looks super dramatic now, and this is how it felt when I photographed it. So this is where we started, and look at this dramatic difference. It's a totally different picture now, in my opinion. But I think it's still not too much. It just brings up all the things that are the things that drew me to this scene. So the shadows, the sky, the birds. So I think this is where Silver Efex is very powerful, and I'm really happy with this edit. So if you want to win these prints, hit the like button and tell me in the comment section what you love about black and white photography, and I will pick a winner by the end of next week. And also, this video has become way longer than I wanted, so I had to cut out a whole section where I show you how I prepare my files for printing, but it will be available as bonus content for my channel members, so you can still check it out if that interests you. Alright, so there you have it. This is basically how I edit my black and white photographs. I hope you found this useful and you learned a few things. I'm also currently working on a big video about my 1-year black and white experience, so stay tuned for that. And again guys, if you want to be the first to get updates on the Photobook, please subscribe to my email list. Don't worry, I won't spam you, but I'm probably only going to sell 100 signed copies and maybe a little bit more after that. But yeah, if you want to be amongst the first 100, sign up to my newsletter. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video very soon. Bye bye.